My father told me I was only invited to his 60th birthday out of pity. He said it while I held the vintage watch I had bought him. 5 days later, the lake cabin he secretly tried to borrow against was sold, and every lie my family built with my name started collapsing. The cabin beside Lake Vermilion was mine. Grandpa left it only to me. The will said no relative or business had any claim unless I gave written permission. Dad hated that, but my mother cried until I agreed they could use it in the summers. Then Dad started Bennett Heritage events. I allowed a few retreats there under one rule: use it, but never claim it or borrow against it. They ignored that. Brochures called it our private northern estate. 3 weeks before his birthday, North Star Community Bank sent me an appraisal notice. My cabin was being used for a $2 million credit line. Attached was an authorization form. My name was signed at the bottom. It was not my signature. Dad had pledged the cabin. Logan submitted retreat revenue. Marissa supplied resort plans. Someone attached my driver's license and forged my name. The bank had already opened temporary credit. I called an estate attorney named Caleb. He asked, "Do you want to preserve the relationship, preserve the property, or preserve yourself?" That night, I played Grandpa's old recording. A gift stops being a gift when the recipient must keep paying for it with her dignity. The next morning, I sold to a shoreline conservancy. Caleb notified the bank and closed the sale legally. Then came Dad's birthday. I walked in with his gift. He looked at my coat, then he looked around the room. He smiled like he had an audience. "We only invited you out of pity," he said, "so don't stay long." The room went still. My mother stared at her napkin. Logan lifted his glass like Dad had made a toast. Marissa looked away. I set the unopened watch beside the guest book. I took one sip of my drink. Then I left before dinner. In the car, I called Caleb. "Start everything," I said. 5 days later, the conservancy owned the cabin. Caleb terminated the company's license. The bank froze the credit line. Marissa texted, "What did you do?" I replied, "The cabin was never family property. It was mine." Questions about the forged documents go through Caleb. By noon, clients were calling. My mother asked if I understood Dad could lose everything he built. She did not ask why my license had been copied. She asked me to feel sorry for the people who used me as collateral. The next morning, my family came to my building. I met them in a conference room with cameras running. Caleb joined by video. Dad pointed at the screen. "This is a family discussion." Caleb said, "It became a legal discussion when someone submitted Claire's forged signature to a bank." Dad claimed the cabin had always been shared. I had paid the taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. Their improvements were furniture and photo staging charged to Dad's company. Then Marissa opened drawings for Vermilion Heritage Lodge. My cabin sat in the center as the reception hall. "Did investors know I approved it?" I asked. She swallowed. "Did you use my name?" "It was just a concept." "That is not an answer." Her face went red. "Yes." Dad slammed his hand on the table. "Return the money. The deed was recorded yesterday. Then buy it back. It is conservation land now. Commercial development is permanently prohibited." Marissa's mouth opened. The resort was not delayed. It was dead. Dad stood. "Your grandfather would be disgusted." I played Grandpa's final recording. "If anyone tells Claire that preserving herself betrays this family, they are proving why I left the property to her alone. No one else has earned a vote. No one moved." 2 days later, Caleb found a sealed estate envelope. Dad had borrowed $180,000 from Grandpa years earlier. In exchange, he promised never to claim any interest in the cabin. He had always known. Later, Logan admitted Marissa copied my signature. Dad told her I had approved it verbally. Logan saw the fake and stayed quiet because the loan would save the company. At mediation, they wanted me to call the forgery an internal misunderstanding. I refused. The company survived only by accepting an audit and removing Dad. Logan lost his role. The resort division died. 6 months later, Dad had lost the company car, the expense account, and the big house. Marissa's brokerage suspended her. My mother moved into a small apartment and started therapy. They called it betrayal. I call it finally understanding that my silence was never consent.